please rise for the Formula One anthem. Some of you eagle-eyed or keen-eared individuals might say, wait a minute, that's not the Formula One anthem. That's the Dutch national anthem. Well, they might as well be one and the same after how this season went. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Derek Kinsey Jr. Welcoming you to Taking the Lamp Extra Mile for today, October 26, 2023. Michael Ward is here with me. Michael, say hi.
I think my ears are bleeding.
We had to hear that theme a lot this year, and not over yet. The United States Grand Prix obviously wrapped up on Sunday. I'll give you two guesses who won, and the second guess and the first chance doesn't count. And we come up to Mexico this week, where that same driver will probably win. And unfortunately, Michael, with what's been going on with Formula One, it's had an effect on the ratings. As the United States Grand Prix for the third straight year, the ratings are down.
Yeah, that's kind of predictable. Even I didn't watch the race, to be honest with you.
I did catch the highlights. The NASCAR race was on at the same time, and one of those was going to be infinitely more exciting, and it was not the Formula One race. But unfortunately, once again, we were embroiled in more controversy than talking about the actual race. And we'll start with qualifying, where Max Verstappen was relegated to a sixth-place finish after a track limits violation, starting the long back straightaway. He drifted just wide enough to go over the white lines. And Michael, I am sick of talking about track limits.
Yeah, I'm very sick of it too. It's I don't know, it's such a weird rule because it's just like, it's not like they go that wide. They just go just a little bit on the rumble strips, especially if you ask me.
My thing about it is this: if they're not cutting the course, I don't care about track limits. This is why I like NASCAR's track limits, where if not track, why track shaped?
Yeah.
Except for a couple of exceptions. There are no track limits when it comes to NASCAR. Indycar has a similar method where they don't enforce track limits too stringently. The problem with the FIA, for a lot of the things, we're going to get to one of the big ones that affect you and I in a bit, they continue to want to be millimeter perfect on their calls, and that's not what you can do in a racing sport.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't understand the senseless need for perfection in Formula One. I guess it's because it's the world's greatest motorsport. The epitome of motorsport. You can't make a mistake. These are the greatest racing drivers ever.
That's a weird way to spell World Endurance Championship.
I wasn't going there, but I appreciate you saying that.
Hey, I don't have a problem with going there. But I don't get it. And Parker Kligerman actually was on Twitter going off about track limits. He was also not a fan. Formula One's got to loosen up the rule book. And I just.
For what we're going to talk about later, they should because
Oh, goodness.
you know, plank of wood there. I
Yeah.
didn't think plank from Eden and Eddie can cause such controversy.
Yeah, I didn't know a plank of wood could be so consequential to a racing sport. But
Only checked
Max.
four cars, by the way.
Yep. Max Verstappen ended up taking the win, the unofficial podium. And there's a reason I'm putting it like that. Had Lewis Hamilton on the podium. And joining him on that podium was Lando Norris. Carlos Sainz finished in the 4th spot. Sergio Perez 5th. Charles Leclerc is 6th. However, if you go to the Formula One website, you will see DQs next to the names of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Michael, why were they DQ'd?
Apparently, underneath the car, the plank of wood that we use under our Formula One cars to keep them, I think that keeps them grounded or keeps the floor from getting damaged. Apparently, it was cut a little too short. Now, when I say a little too short due to the track, uh, I mean, they said, I think about what, 10 millimeters too short?
It was very short for
And
what it
that
was.
warranted a penalty. Well, they believed it warranted a penalty. And they checked four cars. A1 Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton. Everybody else, they said, you're good.
So they
They
checked the
didn't check them.
podium in a random car is what it sounds like.
Yes, so they check four random cars, and they don't check the rest because it'll take days to basically check them all.
Yeah, and see, I don't agree
So
with that when it comes.
I'm kind of wondering. Sorry to cut you off there. I'm kind of wondering how many people got away with this shit. But another statistic is they've checked not Red Bull, Ferrari and Mercedes 5 times during the course of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think Red Bull 3 times, Aston Martin 3 times, and the rest twice. Take that information as you will.
So here's what I have to say about this. First, I'm going to start with the FIA's assertion that it would take days to check the planks. My brother in Christ, I've seen officials at a local dirt track in West Bumble, you know what, United States, check every late model for a droop rule in an hour. So if they can do it, why can't the so-called greatest motorsport in the world check a plank of wood on 20 cars?
Well, I guess you got to get them up in the air, and then I guess you got to measure them, and I don't know.
It doesn't take all that long. You get all the teams, you line the cars up, you put whatever testing implement you need to test the wood, push them all through, and then go home. It's not that
My
hard.
thing is, why don't you do this before the race even starts?
Well, they have to test it after to see if they set it too low.
Okay, well, why don't you keep them there? We already gotta push the race back maybe a week, especially if these are like 2 weeks we gotta wait. Push the race back and check him. Because to hear that my favorite driver who had a abysmal 100th Grand Prix, we're gonna get to him in a second,
Yeah.
got disqualified because of a plank of wood. A plank of wood. Plank from Ed and 80 ruined my day.
So how was Mr. Charles Leclerc's day for you?
Well, he got on pole. That was great. Thanks to track limits. but he just fell back due to tire drag and bad Ferrari strategy, and eventually he was once again sacrificed to, make Sainz's day easier. He was told to let Sainz by, which still kind of irks me.
Who was the number one driver in that team?
Right now, I think it's Sainz.
Because we all thought it was Charles Leclerc. Apparently, we were wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think Leclerc is the number one over there anymore. They definitely don't. They definitely don't do strategy like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Sainz, puts his foot down more, and Charles, they just kind of, tell him what to do, and he just kind of conforms it. My thing is, if that's really the case, and it really is the case, like if I hear about him in the documentary, I have no sympathy for Ferrari because
Yeah.
you are really putting down the driver who was most loyal to this team than any other driver down. You are really letting him down.
And on the other hand, Lewis Hamilton, who probably lost out on a win due to the slow Mercedes pit stops, which they got to work on those stops, still had his best race in months, only for it to go away on a technicality because the team did not pay attention to detail. That has been our entire
second in the
season.
championship.
I don't think second in the championship is attainable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done it. He could have done it, especially the way Perez has been performing. But with this result, now that he doesn't have any points, yeah, second might have just been lost.
I'm just ready for the season to be over.
I'm ready to be. Oh, wait, I got another kicker for you. I just found this out today, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull up RBR Daily. Because, oh, Daryl. Remember that a cost cap penalty?
You mean that penalty that did absolutely nothing?
Yeah, so I think we think the penalty was going to be applied to next year's car?
Possibly,
anyway,
depending. It was for this year when we said it last year.
It was for this year's car. They will now have the full 70% of aero testing for being P1 in the constructors. So, I ask you again, what is the point of the cost cap? And don't get me started about how people are like, oh, that 10% loss in wind tunnels, that's gonna hurt Red Bull. Where?
It didn't hurt them anywhere.
Where?
One iota.
Where? You look at Max Verstappen, 16 wins, and tell me where that hurt him.
I guess they would have won all the races if they had it. I don't know.
Oh, they lost one race.
I don't know, man. I really don't know. And it's affecting their ratings that it's a one-horse show like this.
It's been a one-horse show for decades.
Yeah. And that's been affecting their social media, especially this year. Formula One's in a bad spot when it comes to one team just dominating.
Daryl, I gotta say this, especially when it comes to the social media.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be an F1 fan on Twitter. Although you probably are, but don't. Because I swear on Twitter, it's Mercedes fans hating Max Verstappen fans, Max Verstappen fans hating Mercedes fans, and Mercedes and Max Verstappen. Notice how I'm not saying Red Bull because who else are you a fan of in Red Bull? Going at the Ferrari fans who just want to be left alone and cry. So, yeah, it's a toxic place.
It is.
If you're capable of dealing with the toxicity, fine. But I'm just going to let you know F1 social media is toxic. Stay away.
That might be contributing to why there's so few people or why people aren't interacting with the post as much. Because if you go on to any Formula One post, unfortunately, or any social media, but specifically on the former Twitter, it is not fun.
It is not fun. Another thing, real quick here. This is pertaining to Charles Leclerc. Can you guys stop putting his pole to win ratio in his face all the fucking time?
Yeah.
Can you guys stop doing that? Where he actually snaps and slaps somebody?
You're right, but at the same time.
Three bottles, and y'all just 3 bottles at his hand. The rest are by Ferrari. Let's not even freaking lie.
Most of them have been because of Ferrari.
And y'all put that in his face every single time. Stop it.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a break from the airing of grievances. And when we come back, we're going to talk NASCAR. And oh boy, did we have a dramatic turn at Homestead, Miami. We'll be right back here in the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We are back here in the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Daryl and Michael here with you on this edition of the Extra Mile, and we're going to talk about something happier, which was the Forever 400 in Homestead, Miami. And I will start with this. That race absolutely proved why this track needs to be the finale again.
I would agree with you. Wholeheartedly.
The multiple grooves, and the next gen car works so well here at Homestead, Miami. Christopher Bell ended up picking up the win in a dramatic fight to the end, which was incredible. Him and William Byron were going at it with about 15 to go before Christopher Bell took the lead, and eventually the win. But before that, we kind of got to talk about who was dominating the race, Kyle Larson, and how that domination kind of went away because, well, he kind of slammed the car into the tires coming from a pit stop, trying to slow down with Ryan Blaney in front of him. And, Michael, I don't think we've seen anyone hit the tires at Homestead or almost hit the tires since Kurt Busch in the inaugural race for the Chase.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw it.
And that's what kind of reminded me of when Kurt almost hit the tires. And Kyle hit it. Thank God he's already locked in because he won the week prior. He was out of the race, and people are trying to place blame on this incident. It was just a 1 in a million shot, to be honest.
Honestly. I think it was a 1 in a million accident. But what happened later on in the race is still like, it's still something you can't even, I don't know. To me, it still feels like it's like divine punishment when stuff like that happens.
And what Michael's talking about is Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin off a restart kind of got into it when we're throwing bumpers at each other, or throwing door panels at each other, and it ended with Denny Hamlin blowing a tire and going into the wall. And the funniest thing for me was Ryan Blaney comes on the radio and says, serves him right, and I can't really repeat what he said after that, but I'm not sure what Denny was doing there. He just, I don't really know what he was trying to do.
I don't know either. And I don't think you should be trying to do that thing when you're going for a championship either.
Yeah. And especially with the fact that you haven't won a championship and you're not locked in, you playing that move, and it's cost him in the points now as we go into Martinsville, the other place you don't want to have to try to fight for it because of the nature of short track racing, although in the last few years it's been plenty tame. Hamlin is 17 points out now.
I was about to say last year was tame.
Okay, tame until the end, and we'll get to that. Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson are currently locked in. William Byron 30 points up in third. Ryan Blaney 10 points up in fourth. Tyler Reddick 10 below the cut line in fifth. Martin Truex Jr. He has had the worst one-seed playoffs since this format started. Blew the engine shortly after Denny Hamlin went into the wall on Sunday. He is 17 points out of a playoff spot. And, Michael, I just don't see it happening on Sunday for him getting in just the way it's been. Just everything that could have gone wrong
Went wrong.
has gone wrong for him in these playoffs.
That's why I was like, the way that happened for Joe Gibbs Racing just felt like divine intervention.
It
Because
definitely
how you
felt like
have
that.
Hamilton in the wall, not Hamilton, Hamlin in the wall, and then moments later, Martin Truex's engine blows.
I mean, at least they won the race, but man,
Yeah, they won the race, but it's like now you're going into the Final Four with somebody who hasn't won a championship yet, you know? Well, at least he's gone to the Final Four, I'll say that.
yeah, Christopher was just there last year. Now he's heading there next year. I mean, now he's heading there this year, and hopefully he can end up picking up a win.
And hopefully, I have high hopes for him. Although my dark horse pick doesn't look like it's gonna happen though.
Yeah, I think the juice on Chris Buescher has completely run out. He has had a horrible round. And he's going to need something big if he wants to get in at this point. But still, a successful championship for him. Getting or a successful year for him. Guarantee a top 10 finish.
I think this has been the year for like career best.
Yes.
For people.
A few wins. Guaranteed top 10 in points. It was a good season for him.
Yeah, it's definitely a good personal best season for him.
Yep. So we now go on to Martinsville. And you can't talk Martinsville without talking about the Hail Melon. The greatest move we will never see again in this sport because they quickly banned it.
The video game move.
Yeah, I still can't get over what I saw. And on the last lap, for those that may not know or do not remember by now what had happened, last lap at Martinsville last year, Ross Chastain needs 2 spots to put Denny Hamlin out of the championship. And out of the championship 4. Chastain going into 3 and 4 for the last time. Just pins the throttle, rides the wall around turns 3 and 4, sets a track record time, passes Hamlin, and gets into the Final Four. One of the greatest moves we have ever seen in NASCAR.
Yep, definitely went inside the one of the NASCAR's greatest races channel on YouTube, I think.
Yeah, it was one of the first races they
put up.
Matter of fact,
it's on the thumbnail.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And unfortunately, we'll never see it again because NASCAR was like, right, y'all are not allowed to do that anymore.
I mean, but at the time, there was nothing saying you couldn't, so.
It wasn't illegal at the time, so you might as well do it now. And look, if that's the only time it can be done to go out and be remembered for that, that is awesome.
That is definitely awesome.
And say what you will about Ross Chastain, a lot of folks have, about his on-track performance recently. That was a move that made a lot of people believers.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that, NASCAR has some passion.
Yes. But it was incredible. And obviously we will not see something like that on Sunday. But do you think we will see someone have to make a desperation move to get into the playoffs. I know one driver that's going to have a desperation race already, or a couple already. That's Chris Buescher and Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex. We can throw him in there as well. But do you think we're going to see a desperation heave to get that win? I'll put it like this. Do you think somebody is going to get punted out of the way for a win?
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't happen. And if it's Denny Hamlin, he's going to be remembered as the villain. He's going to be the new Kyle Busch.
If Denny Hamlin does it, it will forever cement his legacy as a villain in this sport.
And I never thought I'd hear the day Denny Hamlin will become a villain.
There's no way he'll be able to.
He became the new Kyle Busch.
Yeah. He will forever be known as the new Kyle Busch if he does something like that. And he's already there, to be honest, but there's going to be no going back if he does it this time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we're going to take another break. When we come back, we got some silly season news in IndyCar. And we're heading to the Mexican Grand Prix, and a certain driver is going to have some extra attention during that weekend. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back here on iSports Radio, your feed for all that is sports. Daryl and Michael here with you this evening. Going to talk a little bit of IndyCar. Their season has long since been over, but there is a little bit of silly season news going on today. As it was announced, Michael, Callum Ilott done with Juncos Hollinger Racing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the 24-year-old.
Callum Ilott, that was a former F2 driver, right?
Yep. Former Formula 2 driver, or F2 driver with several teams, including Trident, Sauber Junior Team, and UNI Virtuosi. Had 3 wins, 8 podiums. Had a best finish of second in the 2020 championship. Has been now in IndyCar for a couple of years. Still looking for his first win in IndyCar. But had a good season this year, and unfortunately did not come to much of anything. Well, he was racing when Juncos had championship finishes of 38th. We only ran 3 races. 20th and 16th. This year was his best year. And unfortunately, he is out of the ride, which makes it difficult because on one hand, Michael, he was getting better, but on the other hand, 20th to 16th is still to be honest.
Yeah, nothing really to write home about.
No. It is unfortunate. There are rumors that Roman Grosjean is currently locked in an arbitration battle with Andretti over his seat. Might be getting the Juncos Hollinger seat. And that would be interesting to see Roman Grosjean over there. And it would be nice to hold on to Roman, given how he's become part of the furniture in IndyCar.
That would be nice to keep him.
Yep. So we'll see how that news plays out. Also, some NASCAR news. Bailey Curry, previous guest of the show, is now full-time with Nice Motorsports. Will run the number 41 Chevy next season.
Oh, wow.
One of our guests during the COVID red flag. Good to see him continuing on and having a successful career. And he'll get a chance in the Truck Series, which is an exciting series, and we will see how that goes for him. I think with Bailey in that Nice truck, I think he can get some wins.
I think he can, too.
So it'll be exciting to see how that goes next year, and we'll be watching the Truck Series intently. And as we look forward and as we look ahead, we do have the Mexican Grand Prix coming up. There was some troubling news that we do need to discuss, which is, and this is also from RBR Daily, Max Verstappen is going to have some extra security with him this week because apparently there were death threats made against him on social media. Now, we know that Mexico is the home country of Checo Perez, also known as Sergio Perez. We know that there are some folks that are fans of his that are very passionate, but folks, this is not the way to do it.
Yeah, guys, regardless of how you might feel about Verstappen, death threats are not okay.
No.
So definitely keep that in mind when dealing with Formula One drivers. Also, apparently they've been getting ambushed on the at the airport by fans. That is also not okay.
Yeah, please leave people alone at the airport. Please.
Please. They just want to go to their hotel rooms and sleep.
Yeah. And especially, and that goes for WWE fans too. Like, they are unfortunately famous for bum rushing people at the airport, and it needs to stop. Leave people alone when they're in the airport, please and thank you. We just want to get to our flights or get home. So we got some things. So with that being said, though, Michael, going into Mexico, this is a fun track, and one of the things that is the most fun about it is a airport runway of a front stretch.
Yeah, it's not the Baku front stretch, but it's definitely a long front stretch.
The one thing I will say about it, though, is I'm surprised we've not had more major accidents in that wreck or in that race or in the first lap going down that front straightaway. Thank God everyone likes to play nice, but man, it just seems like one guy gets it wrong on the brakes and you are in trouble.
Yep. That's also a very sharp corner too.
Yep. So coming up this weekend, by the way, if you're not busy on a Saturday night, we will be having the APBA Gold Cup for this, or not APBA, sorry, the Easton Eagles Entertainment Gold Cup for the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. I'll be on the call. Racing starts, or pre-race starts at 6:30. Racing starts at 7. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's the second race of the year, but it is for the marquee event in the Saturday Night Hydroplane League. You do not want to miss this. Cy Bowen, who won the Silver Cup last week, will be in competition as he tries to become the first driver to win the Silver Cup and the Gold Cup in the same year. So make sure you check us out on SNHL, Saturday Night Hydroplane League, on Facebook. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be time for Nearest the Win, and we will get you set up on how the thing's going to flow for the rest of the season on this show. We'll be right back here in the Extra Mile at iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
All right, time for Nearest the Win here on the Extra Mile on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We got Mexico and Martinsville this week. Michael, who you got?
Martinsville. I think Hamlin's gonna get it done and lock himself in. Mexico. Who else can I go there? I'm gonna go with Sargent. I think he continues his point scoring.
Well, for IndyCar, I'll take Danny Rick. Or not IndyCar, sorry, Formula One, I'll take Danny Rick.
Man, Danny Rick and IndyCar would be something.
I know, right? And for NASCAR, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb. I think Martin Truex Jr. is going to hit that walk-off.
All right, so we got the Battle of Joe Gibbs going on iSports Radio. I love it.
Yep. That's going to be fun. Martin Truex Jr. is going to get his way into the Championship 4. And, folks, we're coming up on the end of the season here for the Extra Mile. November 9th, you're going to want to join us as we wrap up the motorsports season. We'll talk about all of our favorite sports, talk about our favorite moments from the year, and what our hopes are for the 2024 International Racing Year. So make sure you join us November 9th, 8 o'clock. We go live for the last lap in 2024. So that'll do it for this edition of the Extra Mile. Remember, if you want to keep in touch with us, I'm at DK Junior 12. Michael's at Michael_Wart25. And make sure to follow the Extra Mile on Facebook, Instagram, or the Extra Mile on Twitter and TikTok. That's our pages. And the iSports Radio pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, make sure to visit iesportsradio.com. Get yourself some merch. Check out the website and learn more about all the shows and hosts here on IE Sports Radio. And if you've missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, they can be found wherever you can hear your podcast, as well as the YouTube repository, which has a copy of every show we've ever done. So that'll do it for this edition of the Extra Mile. For Michael, I'm Daryl. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.